The EXPS 2.0, XPS 2.0, or similar non-night vision compatible variants of the series of EOTechs are potentially 95% of the functionality and capabilities of the entire EOTech line. So, is the EXPS 3.0 and other night vision compatible EOTech offerings really worth the additional $110 in MSRP? If you're not a night vision user, the short answer is probably no. Although, interestingly enough, EOTech advertises a 10-meter water resistance rating on their night vision compatible optics, whereas the water resistance rating is only 3 meters on the non-night vision compatible units, which has led some to speculate the build quality or sealing of the electronics is superior on the night vision compatible series of optics. Now, if you are a night vision user, then you may want to pay attention to the rest of this video because it's going to get a little bit interesting and we're going to test out the true differences between the two offerings. For context of what I'm going to be looking at, it's a simple silhouette paper target at approximately 35 yards away from the point of view of the Armasight night vision binocular that we're going to be looking through. So shout out to Armasight for continuing to support videos like this to dive deeper into the world of night vision. Now, starting off is going to be the EXPS 2.0 at the lowest possible brightness setting. Now, please note that the yard is roughly entirely dark, there are not a ton of photonic barriers, and the EOTech is at the lowest setting. You'll notice immediately that because of that brightness, it pretty much completely overpowers your view of the target. Now, switching on an IR illuminator to try to brighten up that dark spot, it's kind of a wash here. If it helps or not, I would say that it does improve. Granted, I admit that the paper target is bouncing back a lot of that IR light, making it look a little washed out. So I've now adjusted the manual gain on this PVS-14 so you get a little bit better view of the target itself. And right here, it's not terrible. Now keep in mind, you don't have the flexibility to reduce the brightness of this reticle any further. So if you can live with this, this may potentially work, but these are in optimal controlled conditions where there's not additional photonic barriers. And again, I'm only at 35 yards away from that target with a Surefire scout light pointed directly at it. So I think you can make some scenarios work with this optic, but as you'll see later on in the video, it's probably not going to be perfect for every scenario. Now, moving into a little bit more dynamic setup, we have introduced photonic barriers in the form of different light sources I have bouncing both directly towards the PVS-14 as well as bouncing off of objects in my backyard, such as the tree house for the children that I don't have. Came with the house, guys, it's for the dog. What can I say? Now, looking through once again, you can see that the target is mostly obscured by this reticle unless I switch on the IR illuminator on the actual setup that I have here. Otherwise, I don't think you would be able to see the target or make much target identification whatsoever when you're up against those photonic barriers in your environment. So no longer an ideal environment. This is where you start seeing the deficiencies of the non-night vision compatible EOTech offerings. So now we're going to go ahead and look at the night vision compatible EOTech, and you'll notice immediately that in night vision mode, it's a much dimmer reticle. This is not even the lowest setting, so you do get the flexibility to optimize that. You can still see the outline of that silhouette in this pure dark condition. The PVS-14 is not having difficulties picking both of them up simultaneously, and you can see how much dimmer you can make that reticle to, again, optimize it to your eye to where you're not obscuring the target and what you're trying to identify whatsoever. This is inherently more optimized for night vision. Now, it's somewhat difficult to pick this up with the camera, but the reticle was still very visible directly to the user's eye. You can see that pinpoint crisp 1 MOA dot on the target without washing out the target. So the user experience is definitely going to be much more enjoyable with the actually intended night vision compatible EOTech optic, and hopefully this demonstrates that so far. But we're going to move into the more challenging scenario for the optic, which is going to be with the photonic barriers reintroduced to the environment. And actually this already is doing it pretty good justice to where even with all that additional light in the environment, the target is not obscured. The night vision is able to still focus pretty well on that target. You can see that outline without washing it out. And this is without the IR illuminator on, but turning it on and of course, you have all the visibility, target identification, etc. that you would need. So this really hopefully shows you the differences in what you're up against. So can you use the non-night vision compatible EOTechs? Absolutely, it is possible. Is it ideal? Absolutely not. But that's not what it's marketed or engineered for. So hopefully this gives you some insights on can it be used and how well can it be used. I had been personally curious about how well the non-night vision compatible EOTechs would work, and I had not been able to test this out firsthand until recently. So again, huge shout out to Armasight for providing the night vision that made this video possible. Guys, if you want to support them, I will have a link below where you can check out their product line. It will also help support the channel at no additional cost to you if you are already planning on picking up night vision. I can't recommend them as a company enough. They are phenomenal and continue to support content like this. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to stop by the 4MR Ranch channel, and as always guys, have a good one.